Okay, so today we're going to be teaching you how to center clay on the wheel. So here we have our ball of clay to start. First, we're going to get the plate just a little bit wet, just so that the clay sticks to the plate and it doesn't spin off. So you're going to take your clay, you're going to just whack it down in the middle as hard as you can, and if you need to push it around just a little bit so that it's more on center, then that's okay. So first what you're going to do is you're going to get your clay a little bit wet, make sure that it's nice and smooth. You don't want it to be rubbing against your hands in any ways, like grating. If it starts to feel leathery or kind of like it's sticking to your hands, then you need to add more water, it's too dry. So first we're gonna start with a hand position like this. You're gonna cup your hands and you're gonna hold the clay like this. You can also interlock your fingers if that gives you a little more pressure. You're gonna be pushing against the clay with this part, with these parts of your hands. And what we're gonna do is called coning. We're just gonna cone it up into a shape and then we'll bring it back down, and that's how we get it centered on the wheel so that the centrifugal force doesn't throw it off. So first we'll start with coning. So we start the spin, just squeeze it with our hands all the way up. So it's starting to get a little sticky. As you notice, sometimes the clay will push out on the sides. A good way to avoid that is just keeping your hands nice and low. You don't want them to rub against the plate because then it will rough up your edges of your hands, it might grate it. But you don't want them too high because it'll squish it out. Also, if you keep the pressure more on the middle of your hands instead of on the very edge of your hands, that'll also keep it from squeezing out like that. So we're just coning it up and then we're gonna push it back down. So the way we do this is we're going to use this part of the hand to keep it level, and we're gonna use this part of the hand here to flatten it back down. So I like to do it like this, where you kind of like hold your thumb in a position like this, and then you push down on the top of your cone like this. Just gonna make sure it's nice and wet, and then we just push down. So it's starting to stick. You want to make sure it's wet. You can, based on how you turn your hand, it's the shape it's going to make. Right now it's kind of mushrooming out because I'm not giving a lot of pressure here. You can push more towards the center and it will divot out. You can push along the edge with your hand here and it will round the edges down. You want to make sure that your elbows and your arms are in tight so that you have good leverage as you push down. So I'm trying to apply even pressure to the outside and the inside hand, pushing in so that it becomes centered. A good way to tell if it's centered is as you're spinning, you'll feel it. If it's bumping along your hand like this, it's not centered. Also a good way is to look directly down on above it from a 90-degree angle. And if it looks wobbly as you spin it, it's not quite centered. So this still isn't quite centered. So we're just going to keep pressing on the side mostly, and then just the top so that it doesn't get all squampus. And then when you pull off of it, you want to pull off very slowly. You don't want to come off really fast because that'll also make it not centered. You want to keep your hands in your position and slowly pull away so that it doesn't disalign it as well. It's getting a little dry. So there we go. We have a centered lump of clay on the wheel. And it's as simple as that.